This is the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, a young woman who became the center of a shocking crime, a tale of deception, manipulation, and ultimately murder. This is not just a story of a crime, but of a life filled with lies and control. How did it come to this? How did a mother-daughter relationship end in such tragedy? Join us as we unravel the details of this disturbing case. Gypsy Rose Blanchard was born in July 1991 in Louisiana. From a young age, Gypsy seemed to be a sickly child, suffering from a variety of severe medical conditions. Her mother, Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard, was her constant caregiver, tirelessly tending to her daughter's needs. Dee Dee presented herself as a dedicated mother, fighting to give her daughter the best life possible despite overwhelming odds. From leukemia to muscular dystrophy, Gypsy was said to suffer from numerous ailments. She was confined to a wheelchair, fed through a feeding tube, and required constant medical attention. Dee Dee claimed her daughter had the mental capacity of a child, and in 2005, Dee Dee and Gypsy moved to Springfield, Missouri, where they became well known in the community. They were the recipients of charity and support, as their tragic story touched the hearts of many. Habitat for Humanity even built them a house. But as time went on, some began to notice inconsistencies in the narrative Dee Dee had constructed. There were moments when Gypsy seemed healthier than she should have been. She was sometimes seen walking, something Dee Dee claimed was impossible. Gypsy's behavior occasionally hinted that she was more aware and capable than her mother let on. But no one dared question Dee Dee directly, fearing it would be too painful for the struggling. Gypsy began to realize the truth. She wasn't as sick as her mother had led her to believe. Years of unnecessary treatments, surgeries, and medications began to take a toll. Behind Dee Dee's back, Gypsy started using the internet to reach out to others and seek help. In 2015, Gypsy met a young man named Godejohn online. He was her escape, a chance at a different life. Together, they began to plot a way out, but the solution they came to was one of the most extreme: murder. The world of Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose Blanchard came crashing down. Godejohn traveled to Springfield, and with Gypsy's help, he murdered Dee Dee Blanchard in her bed. The brutality of the crime shocked everyone who knew them, but the truth that would emerge was even more shocking. After the murder, Gypsy and Nicholas fled to Wisconsin, but they were quickly apprehended. When the truth came out, that Gypsy had been a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, manipulated and abused by her mother for years, the public's perception of her changed. What was initially seen as a heinous act became a tragic story of a young girl pushed to her with first-degree murder. But the circumstances surrounding the crime led to a complicated legal battle. Gypsy's defense argued that she was a victim of severe abuse, forced into a desperate situation by her mother's control. The prosecution, however, argued that the murder was premeditated. In July 2016, Gypsy accepted a plea deal and was sentenced to 10 years in prison for second-degree murder. Nicholas, considered the primary perpetrator, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The sentences reflected the complexities of the case, acknowledging Gypsy's victimhood while also holding her accountable for the crime. The case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard sparked widespread debate about abuse, mental health, and the criminal justice system. Was Gypsy a victim or a criminal? Could this tragedy have been prevented? These questions continue to resonate with the public. The case also brought attention to Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a rare but dangerous form of child abuse where a caregiver fabricates or induces illness in a person under their care. Dee Dee Blanchard's actions were extreme, but they shed light on an issue that often goes unnoticed. Gypsy Rose Blanchard was released from prison in July 2024, having served around 7 years of her 10-year sentence. Her release has sparked renewed public interest and conversation about her story, which has become one of the most well-known cases involving Munchausen syndrome by proxy and the complexities of victimhood and justice. Since her release, Gypsy has been working on rebuilding her life outside the confines of both her mother's control and the prison system. She has reconnected with her father, Rod Blanchard, and her stepmother, Christy, who have been supportive of her reintegration into society. Reports suggest that Gypsy is focused on living a quiet life, trying to move past the traumatic events of her upbringing and the crime that ultimately led to her incarceration. You know, as a victim of abuse, resources are available. Don't wait until it's too late. Reach out for help.
Do you miss your mom, Dee Dee?
Yeah, I miss my mom.
When you look back, do you think there are ways that this could have been handled differently?
Absolutely, absolutely. I look at things in hindsight, and I realize that there were other options besides murder, but I was so sheltered that I couldn't see them at the time.
She's the face of one of the most shocking crime stories in memory.
This is the house where Claudinia Blanchard was found stabbed to death.
But it was all a lie. Her mother, Dee Dee, was actually the one who was sick with the psychological disorder Munchausen syndrome by proxy, where a parent seeks attention through their child's made-up illnesses.
Your mother controlled so much.
Mm-hmm.
Many people just can't understand why you didn't just get up and walk out of that wheelchair. You weren't sick.
It's mental, it's emotional, it's physical. All these reasons combined together is what prevented me from just walking out of that situation.
Give us a sense of the fear that you felt.
I feared more than anything that if I ran away, that things would be worse for me at home.
Gypsy becoming the mastermind in her mother's slaying after a lifetime of abuse.
I actually didn't even want her to be killed. I just wanted out of my situation. And I thought that that was the only way out. So I think that there is this judgment on me that I killed my mom because I hated her, and that's not true.
At age 23, she pled guilty for the role she played in her mother's brutal murder.
Guilty.
Stabbed 17 times by Gypsy's then boyfriend. Now, after nearly 9 years in prison, she's a free woman.
Are you ready to join the adult world?
I am. I think that I have gained enough life experience behind bars.
Speaking on camera 1 week after walking out of a Missouri prison on December 28th.
When you look at these pictures now of Gypsy Rose, do you recognize her?
I don't. I know that it's me, but at the same time, that isn't me anymore.
In many ways, this is not Gypsy's second chance at life, but her first. At 32 years old, with a new husband and a social media star with millions of followers.
Hey everyone, this is Gypsy. I'm finally free.
Gypsy's first TikTok going viral, posted just days after her release.
You're trending on TikTok, people saying things like, I'm tipsy for Gypsy. How do you explain this?
I honestly, I don't know myself. I consider myself just a normal woman, but I think maybe my story resonates with a lot of people.
Her allure bolstered by documentaries and by Hollywood, portrayed in Hulu's award-winning miniseries, The Act.
My mom is my best friend. All she wants to do is keep me safe. Gypsy!
So many people are embracing you out there. Do you feel any conflict with that? You've got fame, even though you participated in a murder?
Of course I feel conflicted. Fame is not what I'm looking for. I always said I think I'm infamous, and then I came out famous, but that's not what I want. I want to be an influence for change.
She's beginning by offering details of her life in prison in the new Lifetime series, The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
I share my story to be a cautionary tale so that the next person that might be in a situation like mine where they are in an abusive relationship or they are feeling trapped, they don't take the route that I did.
By the time she was 8 years old, life for Gypsy was nonstop pills and procedures. She was confined to a wheelchair.
Where are you going today? I'm going to Children's Mercy Hospital to see my dentist for my teeth.
My mother told me and told the doctors that I had everything from leukemia to muscular dystrophy. Paralysis from the neck down was one of actually in the medical records. And the doctors see me moving my arms, so how could I be paralyzed from the neck down?
Were you ever tempted in any of these medical tests to say, I can move my arms, I can walk?
Of course, but my mother was always in the room with me. She never left my side, not once.
Gypsy forced to undergo numerous procedures, including eye surgeries, a feeding tube, the removal of her salivary glands.
What is your health situation now? How were you permanently affected by all that you went through?
I did see a doctor in prison, and I'm completely healthy. Like, I have no health problems whatsoever.
Grown-up Gypsy revealing for the first time now that she was hiding a dark struggle.
In the docuseries, you reveal something pretty surprising. You say that you were addicted to painkillers. How serious was this addiction?
This is really hard to talk about because it took me down a really dark path. But I felt like it was my only way to cope for a time.
She says she'd had enough after 2 decades of abuse.
We have breaking news. The body of 48-year-old Claudinia Blanchard has been found inside her home in Springfield.
On June, near her mother's body, Gypsy would eventually plead guilty to second-degree murder. Godejohn was convicted of carrying out the stabbing death and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Gypsy now revealing that drugs played a role that night.
Did your addiction have any connection to this crime?
I think a part of it did. I would get high to stay numb, to not feel emotion.
So when you made this decision to take part in the killing of your mom, were you high?
Yes, I was. I was actually arrested with the pain medication in my bag.
And do you blame that for your decision?
No. I don't blame drugs. I don't blame anything. I don't make excuses. There's no excuse for committing murder.
Your former boyfriend, Nick Godejohn, is serving a life sentence. Mm-hmm. Is it fair that he is incarcerated for life for killing your mom and you're out?
Well, I'm sure that we both have a lot of regrets. All I can really say is that I did my time. He's doing his time for his part. And I wish him well on his journey.
Strange as it sounds, she says prison actually freed her. She's now sober and has earned her GED.
How much do you think about your mom?
I still think about my mom from time to time. After all, she still was my mother. No matter what she did to me, I wish that I could go back in time and change things.
Was she a monster?
I don't believe my mother was a monster. I want people to know that she had mental illness. She had a lot of demons herself that she was struggling with. She was just a very sick woman.
Prison brought another unexpected change to Gypsy's life.
You got a lot of letters from a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. I started getting a lot of support letters.
One of those letters from her now husband, Ryan Anderson, a middle school special education teacher from Louisiana.
He just said, I would like to get to know you and I support you and here's a little bit about myself. He sounded like a total sweetheart. And I'm like, I'm gonna write this guy back.
The couple married in 2022 while Gypsy was locked up. Ryan there to pick her up the day she was released.
But you're really together physically for the first time.
Yes.
We call it newly together with.
What are your plans? Do you want to have children?
We've talked about starting a family. We just don't know when at this point. We're just trying to focus on our marriage and establishing a good marriage before we put kids into it.
Did you get your happy ending?
I think I did.
Time will tell. I think I'm a Prince Charming.
Gypsy says she knows she still has a long road ahead.
Much of your life with your mom was built on essentially getting the sympathy of the public. How do you convince people that you're not manipulating them now, as you and your mom did so many years ago?
I don't think I can convince anyone anything. All I can do is be myself, put myself out there and in the truest form. I'm not setting out to manipulate anyone. I'm just myself.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her boyfriend Ken Erker are reportedly expecting a baby girl. This news has brought a lot of attention to Gypsy's life post-incarceration, as it marks a significant new chapter for her. After enduring years of abuse and the challenges of incarceration, starting a family is a monumental step for Gypsy as she continues to rebuild her life. The prospect of Gypsy becoming a mother is seen by many as an opportunity for her to experience the nurturing and loving relationship that she was denied during her own childhood. It's a chance for her to create the kind of family life she always wanted, free from the control and manipulation that defined her past. Public reactions to this news have been varied, with many people offering congratulations and expressing hope that Gypsy will find the happiness and peace that she deserves. There is also a degree of concern, as Gypsy's past trauma and experiences have left deep emotional scars, and parenting will undoubtedly bring its own set of challenges. As Gypsy prepares to welcome her daughter into the world, she is likely focusing on creating a safe, loving environment for her child. This new chapter represents both a fresh start and a continuation of her journey toward healing and normalcy after the many hardships she has faced. I'm Mr. Judge. Thank you for watching, and remember, life is precious. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and most importantly, take care of each other.